Shout out to Jules, who's the comment of the week. Thank you so much for your comment. I really like reading all those comments, and if you would like to be the comment of the week, all you have to do is comment under any video. That could have been you. Alright, so here I have the 104 set of Ohuhu markers. I've been wanting to try these for so long. I put up a goal on coffee. I was able to reach the goal in less than 24 hours. One person went on there and basically got these markers for me, so thank you so very much. This is the first impression, but I did already open this up, so yeah, I was just so excited. But anyways, it comes with some swatch cards, Bristol. I think that's what that is. And this is like an info packet. And it also comes with this little sheet that you can put in between your pages to prevent it from bleeding all the way through. So that's really nice to include. This may be able to come out. It can, yeah. It is a separate piece. So it also comes with this carrying case. It has like a strap and everything, which is super cool, and a handle on top. I am probably just going to keep it in the little bag that it comes in though, the case, because it's just easier that way. Oh, forgot to mention, these are the brush tips, so this is what that looks like. It looks kind of like the Copic marker and the chisel tip. And they also have one that comes with a like bullet nib, but I prefer brush tips, so that's the one I got. And it's time to swatch. I'm gonna use the chisel tip because it's gonna be easier. These swatches took me about 30 minutes plus to do because there's just so many markers, which I'm not complaining. These markers cost me about $80, which is insanely cheap for an alcohol-based marker. The Copic Chow is going for $80 for 36 markers. And this has 104, so obviously that's a better buy. I have heard a lot about these markers. I heard they are comparable to Copic, and after trying them myself, I think I can confidently say that that is indeed true. I ended up dividing or sorting the colors by color family, so to speak. I'm not sure exactly how the codes on the markers work. I'm not exactly sure, I'll say that, because I kind of have a clue, because Y, yellow, RV, red, violet, G, green. Like, I'm not sure what the numbers mean. I found that there was quite a bit of greens, also quite a bit of reds as well. I could have done with a few more skin color tones, but I think it was pretty decent. And spoiler alert, I did like the markers, so I may end up investing in this skin color set, so it's not a big deal. Let me know if you've tried these markers or if you would like to try them. If you have tried them though, I would love to know what you thought about them, especially if you've tried other brands. And those are all my swatches. So we've got a pretty decent amount of colors here. I feel like this is a really nice variety of colors. Like, I don't feel like I have to go, like I'm missing anything. Granted, I haven't started drawing yet, but just looking at it, I don't think I'm missing anything. I ended up doing some swatches on marker paper to see if it varied any between how it looked on the Bristol and how it looked on the marker paper. I find that it was just the slightest bit more vibrant on the marker paper, but it wasn't too major. Then I glued it onto the back of the swatch card so that I can always have it with the swatch card and I won't have to go looking for it because that would be super inconvenient. I did several drawings leading up to the drawing that ended up in this video. I did one that was in the marker pad, which was not the best idea. I found that pad at the bottom of one of my drawers and I see why it was there. Because it was not the best paper for blending. It was like a De La Roni marker pad I got for like $5. Not terrible. The colors are more vibrant, just the slightest bit more vibrant on there, but they did not blend very well. And I wanted to give these markers a fair chance. I don't use that marker paper, so I was like, let me use Bristol instead because that's what I normally use for markers. I also tried them in my Artist Loft sketchbook and they were a little weird in there. It could be the paper. That's just like regular sketchbook paper. It's not for markers, so I'm not going to dock these points off of this marker for that. I'm thinking about uploading the speed paintings for at least one of those other drawings on Patreon, so if you're interested in that, it's going to be available for all tiers. Links to my Patreon is in the description. But anyways, I started this drawing as I start all of my drawings with a sketch. Normally, or rather lately, I've been using a Prismacolor Verithin in the color Delia Purple for my sketches, but I decided to use a regular mechanical pencil because I wanted to be able to erase it just a little bit more. I really didn't want that purple line art, or rather sketch, to be showing in the final piece because the Prismacolor Verithin does not erase very well, which sometimes I don't mind, but for this particular drawing I did, so I didn't do that. Next I went in with a Tombow Fudenosuke calligraphy pen for the line art. It is alcohol marker proof, which is really nice, and I like that it has a bit more of a firmer nib than some of the other brush pens because I need a little more control because I can be very heavy-handed, and if I have a nib that's like really flexible, especially for line art, I find that it's a little difficult for me to control. Which, speaking of brush nibs, the brush nib on the Ohuhu marker is quite firm, especially compared to the Copic marker, which I really appreciate because sometimes I feel like the Copic marker nib is just a little bit too flexible for me. At first I thought it was maybe because some of my nibs were a little old and frayed and I switched them out, and nope, they're just like that. So I really appreciate the fact that the nibs on the Ohuhu markers are a lot more firm, and that was really helpful for doing smaller details and for just getting really small lines in some places. I'm also really glad that I had like a trial phase for these markers because I was kind of out of practice for using alcohol based markers. I like picked up my Copics just a little bit, like a little while ago, to color like a little sketch in my sketchbook, so I was definitely out of practice for doing a piece like this. This piece turned out okay, so I'm okay with all that it took to get to this point. But anyways, I really wanted to find a way to incorporate the fluorescent red color. It's more pink than red, but I really like it. I think next time I would like to use the fluorescent orange. I just really love orange highlighters, okay? So I'm excited to use that one in a drawing. I don't have any issues with blending or laying down colors. Sometimes when I've tried like cheaper alcohol-based marker brands, I think like the last one I tried was like one from Five Below. It didn't blend very well and it was very streaky, and these markers were not that, so that was a relief. Not that I was worried about it because, like I mentioned, I have heard great things about these, so I wasn't concerned about that at all. I do color a lot of black people, so when it comes to skin tone colors, I am maybe a little bit picky. They are good in the set, I'm not gonna lie, they are good. But because I have a large variety of different skin tones that I have for different characters and stuff, there were a few colors that I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had it because then I could color this character. But like I said, that's not a huge deal because they have skin tone sets. The browns that were included in the set are not ashy, which was a relief because that's something I've experienced before with, I think it was the Pro Marker brand. They had like a skin tone set and like all the colors were ashy. They didn't discriminate. Everybody was ashy, even people who with lighter skin tones, so I didn't appreciate that, but this was not that, so that was really nice. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, I was having some issues with paper. It seems like these markers work best on Bristol. When I went to use these markers in my Artist Loft sketchbook, the colors were coming out a lot darker than they were in the swatches that I did on their swatch card that they provided, so I'm not sure what that's about, and I've never experienced that with alcohol-based markers, but I'm not too upset about it because my sketchbook paper is not for markers anyways, so it's not a huge deal, and I don't really use those markers in there. I don't use any markers in there too often, so it's not a huge deal. And I've already talked about that De Lironi marker pad. That paper is just a little weird with any marker that I've used on there, so I'm not even too upset about that either. When used on Bristol though, they blend very well and the colors look really good, and they look really close to the swatches that I did on the swatch cards that they provided, which leads me to believe that that is in fact Bristol. But don't quote me on that, I'm just using context clues and stuff. Overall, I think it's a really nice set. I think it would be a good beginner alcohol-based marker set to get because it's not too expensive, so the price of entry is not that crazy as it would be with like Copics or even with Pro Markers, because those can get quite pricey. If I'm recalling correctly, Copics are like $5 to $6 on the cheaper end, but like Michaels sells them for like $8 or $9, so getting a set of markers for $70, 104 markers for $70 is like really good. So if you have been wanting to try alcohol-based markers, these are definitely a really good option, and they have plenty of more colors. I think they may even have like a complete set. I definitely saw one that had like 200 colors. over 200 colors. If I'm not mistaken, there's over 300 colors total, which may be similar to how many markers Copic offers. That is still a lot of colors, and if you're like me and you use alcohol-based markers to kind of touch up other things, like I often use them in my watercolor paintings to make my colors a little more vibrant, so it's not the sole supply that I'm using all the time. Like, this is a pretty good set, so I highly recommend you get these if you want to try them out. I plan on testing the Hemi Gouache Jelly Gouache set next month, so if you would like to catch that, you can subscribe and turn on notifications so that you know as soon as that video comes out. But anyway, this is how the drawing turned out. I had so much fun working on this drawing and working on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my patrons, Merriment Illustrations, Sister Donna55, Kelsey, and a Spooky Rose. Thanks so much for being my patrons. I really appreciate you and everything that you do. Wow, oh my goodness. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And here are some more videos that I think you'd like.